All right. Well, so first of all, hi, welcome to our fireside chat with TriMet Transportation and Foundry 45. I'm Dave Beck, managing partner at Foundry 45. We put VR to work by creating procedural, you can think hard skills type VR training experiences. And today I am very excited to be joined by Todd Madsen, who is the manager of rail operations training at TriMet in Portland, Oregon. And he and I have had the pleasure to work with each other for the last few years. He's also a man who has worked in the railroad industry for several years, quite some time. So he's pretty much living every kid's dream. And one quick additional note, because TriMet is laser focused on their employees' health and well-being, they ask everyone in their building to actually wear a mask. So Todd is walking the walk with his mask. And so in a show of solidarity, I'm going to don one as well. This is my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets mask in honor of us making the NCAA tournament for the first time in 11 years. So go Jackets. All right, Todd, thanks for joining us today. And to start off, can you please give us a high-level overview of the training work that you're doing at TriMet? And specifically, please share what kind of training you're doing in virtual reality.
Well, our objective here at TriMet in my position is to take an 11.
Oh, I think you went on mute there. Yeah, I think we lost your audio. Todd, can you try and hit your microphone button again, please? I think they're still missing your audio here. Can you hear us okay? Yeah, so Todd, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. Can you fix your microphone? You were on and you sounded great. Oh, looks like he is pulling in a different option. The IT support may actually be here as well. While he's doing that, I will endeavor to show a little bit of the VR experience that he's been working on. Let's see if we can get that to work in the meantime, while Todd's figuring it out. So this is an example of some of the work that TriMet's been doing. And, Todd, just give me the high sign or say anything as soon as you've got it back. This is basically an example of, we've recreated the downtown Portland, Oregon area in order to be able to give a very realistic training situation for the people at TriMet that are actually learning how to do this. And if Todd, I think he would probably tell us here that something, I think he's working on fixing the mute there, Johan. But just real quick, so that you guys know, the objective that the folks at TriMet have is to take a bus operator and turn them into a rail operator during an 11-week program. And basically what they do is they use both classroom and hands-on type training to actually figure out a way to teach people to successfully work in this environment. And more specifically related to VR, the program has several different scenarios based off of their rail system, including things like their rail yard, the main line, light vehicle rail troubleshooting. And additionally, within those scenarios, they have the ability to choose between different light rail vehicle models. So they have 5 different models, which makes it extremely helpful to be able to choose, because different operators operate different machinery, of course. And hey, Todd, just real quick, my suggestion to you would be to actually drop out and come back in. And I think that might be the best way to potentially fix that. So maybe do that. I'll continue to talk a little bit about what you're creating there, and then hopefully we'll all cross our fingers that the audio issues are actually solved. But yeah, so basically they have these 5 different models, and besides just capturing the variation between their different rail systems, we can also create different experiences. Am I back? Wow. All right. So yeah, I mean, basically, their goal here is safety, right? Not just for the drivers, but also for the people on the road as well. And so, to kind of highlight a little bit more about what's going on there, obviously safety is on a lot of people's minds these days, and it's great that TriMet's so focused on it. So, I mean, one of the other things that we like to talk about with Todd and his team at TriMet is kind of why VR is actually a good solution for rail trainers. And I think that their take on this is definitely that the more experience their students have related to their daily job duties, the more confident they are in their position, right? So the intent of implementing virtual reality into their programs was to provide the students with these experiences, right? So in TriMet's case, they realized that some of the operational challenges were kind of inhibiting their ability to provide the training that they need for their operators, right? Because it's hard. I believe at one point they said that the only time they could actually train a new person on the line when it wasn't in use was between something like 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning. You can imagine that's probably a pretty different environment than it would have been from training at a different time of day. And so, also there's things like the amount of light rail vehicle models they have. Sometimes it's difficult to obtain a certain model that they need for a certain student that needs to train on that specific model, right? They have 5 different ones that go out there. And, they have service disruptions sometimes. They could have weather, they could have accidents, system defects. And, in a VR environment, you don't have to worry about those kind of external issues actually harming the ability to do the training, right? So you can make it a lot more consistent, you can make it a lot more predictable. And as a lot of you, I'm sure, already know, it's certainly easier to measure that way as well. Hey, Todd, you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yay! All right, we got it. Well, hey, so just so you know, because I kind of moved along in our session because I know we don't have a ton of time here. So okay. I was just finishing up kind of talking about how you guys had safety was a lot on your mind, and why you might think VR was a good solution to the training that you guys are doing. And what I was just talking about was how much you guys talk about giving confidence to your team members, and because of that, they may do a more thorough job. We know that everybody wants that. So now that we kind of talked through that, I'd love to know, what are some of the best metrics that you use to track or measure the success of the VR training that you're implementing?
During the 11-week program, we have, quizzes, tests that we issue to the students. That's one way we track. Another way we track is the kind of hands-on, assessments with the students from the trainers. Once the students get through the 11-week program, they go into a 6-month probationary period. At that point, we monitor the rule violations that they may or may not have and their on-time performance as operators.
Okay, so you're monitoring them both while they're training, and then you also follow their success in the field. I mean, that makes sense. I guess overall, it's great because you guys can track a lot of data. Switching gears from that, a lot of people ask us at Foundry 45 about kind of what the best practices are for using VR across the enterprise. And, that's a big part. Today's event is enterprise VR. So what recommendations, I think this may be kind of the most important piece here. It's like, what recommendations do you have for organizations that are looking to implement VR?
I feel like kind of at a higher level that, the discussion needs to be had, how do we, in all of our divisions, our departments, how do we really leverage, after we go in and purchase the equipment, how do we leverage this training for all aspects of our organization? Pick one or two problems that you may be having and really kind of do a feasibility study and see if those problems can be solved with VR. And in a lot of cases, they can be.
So, you're saying start small, maybe, and then, or crawl before you walk or run?
Absolutely. Start small on a smaller scale, measure, and then build out from there.
Okay. So, I think that definitely would help you avoid some pitfalls. Speaking of that, are there any specific types of training that you don't think work as well in VR?
With us and the scenarios that you built for us, it would be kind of the muscle memory with the motoring drum handle, which is the propulsion or braking system on the light rail vehicles.
Yeah.
You can't really get a feel of that while being in the program. So that's really hard to replicate, if not impossible. And so that's, one thing that we obviously have to take them out to the actual LRV to where they could get that feel and kind of get used to how the light rail vehicle handles.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it too, right? Some people hit us up and say, well, yeah, it doesn't feel like you're turning a wrench because there's no torque. And we say, well, that's not a good example of something that works well in VR, but the whole order of operations in order to do what you need to do, that is important. So oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go. I just said absolutely. That's definitely true.
Yeah. So in the time that we have left, I'm just curious, if you look into your crystal ball, how do you see VR training, or, you do a lot of different training there. So any interesting training technologies, how do you see them being used through the balance of 2021 and maybe beyond?
Well, a lot of individuals within the organization here at TriMet have actually come in and put the headset on and gone through the program. We see a lot of use for VR for, trainings that spread across divisions and departments so that the training can be more uniform. We see a lot of potential there. We're interested moving forward after what we've built here with more of the gamification side of VR, exploring, switches, signals, rail signals, and, kind of getting more into an interactive gamification side of VR.
So, okay, yeah. So as you're looking through the balance of the year and the challenges that you're having, hopefully we're getting on to the back end of the pandemic. I guess, are you guys seeing that out in Portland? And so will things be changing as a part of that, you believe?
Obviously we kind of have a new way of doing things. I kind of foresee us still using masks, still spacing out as as much as possible, even in our training. What's interesting is we have, during our actual hands-on training, we have a trainer right next to the student in the cab. We'll still have masks. We have cleaning protocols that we follow that we didn't have necessarily before. So we're still taking it very serious out here. Oregon's done a great job at, kind of stopping the spread and controlling the spread. And so it's something that we take very serious here. And, we see some things going back to normal, but a lot of the same procedures that we're following now to keep everybody safe.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Well, it looks like we're at the end of our time. I do want to say thank you very much, Todd. Very much appreciate you joining us here. It's super interesting what you guys are doing. And I think you're the first transit company in North America to actually go down this path. So congratulations for being an innovator there. Definitely appreciate that. And if people want to reach out to you, or if they want to learn more, can they connect with you on LinkedIn or any other suggestions? Like, how do we find out more about TriMet?
I'm on LinkedIn. I can be reached through LinkedIn, and start the discussion there.
Sounds good. Yeah, and if anyone else has questions for me, I believe one of my colleagues put my contact information and a white paper. Oh, there it is again, in the chat here. And if you have any questions about this, certainly let us know. It's been awesome working in this space. And thanks to Chris Colo and the whole team at VRARA for all of this.
Thanks.
Thanks again, Todd.
Thank you.